Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT This Morning.
Now at 5:30, new this morning, police have made an arrest in connection with the murder last week in Lexington. We'll have more coming up.
Also on WKYT, a UK football player charged with rape will go before a judge today. We'll have a breakdown of that case. It's coming up this morning.
And a former school bus monitor has been charged with harassing students. These stories and breaking news coming up on WKYT this morning.
Well, good morning to you and welcome. It's so good to have you along here on this Thursday, rolling toward a big weekend in Lexington. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. Those gas prices are up again. Not too bad, but still.
Well, they're just jumping all over the place. That's the thing you can't predict. You know, it's like a game. So we'll have a little info about that here in a little bit, and a lot of news this morning. But let's check in with Micah, as we've had a pleasantly cool overnight.
Good morning. Absolutely. And you know, talking about those gas prices, all about perspective, right? Yeah. I mean, $3.19 just 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, was actually pretty daggum good. It wasn't bad, and now here we are. I remember, hey, yesterday I went $2.77 at one place, across the street $3.19. It's weird. 48 degrees there in Frankfort, 46 in Richmond. 24-hour planner, there you are going in toward the afternoon, 59, mixture of sun and clouds. And we're going to get better and better as the days go along off into your weekend. Your weekend looks really good, and you won't see any 50s anywhere close, except for maybe some overnight lows, and that's about it. So your weekend forecast is what you can look forward to, and I'll show you that coming up.
Hey, we'll see you then, and let's get to the news.
New this morning, police have arrested a teenager in connection with Lexington's latest murder.
19-year-old Nathan Miller is charged with complicity to murder in connection with the death of Jeffrey Adams. Adams was shot and killed at his apartment complex on McCullough Drive last week. WKYT's Whitney Wetzel is live this morning from the Fayette County Detention Center with the latest on Miller's arrest. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning. According to court records, Nathan Miller did not act alone, but so far he's the only one that's been arrested in connection to Friday's shooting. 19-year-old Jeffrey Adams was shot multiple times around 10:30 Friday morning at an apartment complex on McCullough Drive in the Winburn area. Firefighters found Adams lying in a hallway on the second floor. He was pronounced dead at the scene. According to court documents, Miller and other co-defendants arranged to meet with Adams for a drug deal, and that's when he was killed. Now it's unclear who actually fired the shots that killed Adams, but again, so far Miller is the only person charged in connection to this shooting, but it's clear police do believe that other suspects were involved in this shooting. Miller will be arraigned later this afternoon. Live in Lexington, Whitney Wetzel, WKYT.
Whitney, thank you. A Morgan County reverend decided to fight back when someone broke into his home. Jason James says he heard a man trying to break open a door Tuesday afternoon. He didn't recognize the man, so he called 911. Around that time, James says the burglar made it a couple of steps inside the home. So James grabbed his gun. The burglar started running away.
50, 60 yards from the step, I fired way off in the opposite direction into the ground.
James says the burglar didn't steal anything, but police haven't found him yet either. They're looking for a white man between 5'6" and 5'8" with tattoos on his arms. He had on an orange shirt at the time that the burglary was committed.
Well, today a UK freshman football player is expected to go before a judge.
Lloyd Tubman pled not guilty to rape earlier this month. Today a judge will decide whether or not a grand jury will be hearing the case. WKYT's Mark Barber is live from District Court with more on what's expected to happen in court today. Mark?
Good morning, Bill and Rebecca. Lloyd Tubman's preliminary hearing is scheduled to start in just a few hours. He's accused of raping a UK student in her dorm room. The defensive lineman is suspended from UK's football team after he was charged with first-degree rape earlier this month. Investigators say he attacked an acquaintance on October 2nd when he was visiting her in her dorm room on UK's campus. An arrest citation states that Tubman verbally and physically assaulted the woman and then forced her to engage in sexual conduct. After the 6'3", 250-pound freshman left, the alleged victim called 911. Police tell us when they arrived, she was crying and shaking. Tubman pleaded not guilty at his arraignment a couple weeks ago. He was ordered to have no contact with the woman and to move back to Louisville to live with his parents. Because Tubman has not been arrested before, he was released on a $10,000 bond. Again, he's scheduled to be back in court at 8:30 this morning for that preliminary hearing. Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. After shooting incidents in Canada's capital killed a soldier guarding a war memorial there, the country's prime minister is speaking out. Prime Minister Stephen Harper is calling the shooter a terrorist and says what happened is a grim reminder that Canada is not immune to terrorist attacks seen around the world. It is still unclear whether there were additional suspects in the shootings. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police say more details will be provided later today.
A former school bus monitor has been charged with harassing and menacing two students on a bus. Melinda Owens worked for Anderson County Schools, but last month, investigators say she put her hand in the face of a 12-year-old and pushed his face into a bus seat. They say she also grabbed another 12-year-old's poster board and destroyed it. Parents say they haven't heard of anything like this happening before.
I'm just kind of shocked that, that would happen around here.
The Anderson County Superintendent says Owens resigned after the incident. She also said a camera on the bus captured what happened. Owens did not want to tell us her side of the story.
5:35 on WKYT this morning. A man accused of killing several women in Indiana has now officially been charged with the death of a second victim. Darren Dion Van was first charged with the death of 19-year-old Africa Hardy and then confessed to killing 6 others. Now he's been charged with killing Anneth Jones. Van was held in contempt yesterday when he refused to answer the judge's questions in court. His hearing has been rescheduled.
Well, lately all the medical talk has been about Ebola, but Central Kentucky doctors say you should be worried about a different virus, that being the flu. There are now 3 confirmed flu cases in Kentucky, 1 in Woodford County and 2 in the Louisville area. According to healthcare professionals, the flu sends hundreds of thousands of people to the hospital and kills tens of thousands.
Your neighbor's going to have it, your coworkers are going to have it. Your neighbors and coworkers are not going to have Ebola.
Health leaders say if you get a flu shot at your doctor's office, your health insurance will likely cover that cost. They also say to wash your hands, cover your mouth when you're coughing, and if you're sick. Probably a good habit to just get into anyway, even if you're healthy.
Always good to have good hygiene. Well, in the past 24 hours, gasoline prices have jumped up 30 or 40 cents in some locations. Before that jump, Berea had some of the cheapest gas in the Bluegrass. So when prices started suddenly rising, people started racing to Berea to fill up. At one Circle K station, gas was only $2.66 a gallon for regular unleaded. It didn't take long for those prices to shoot back up.
We went and ate, and we figured on filling up when we come back through. You couldn't even get in here then when we went through, and now it's went up $3.16, less than an hour.
Outside some gas stations, the line of cars was nearly 15 vehicles deep. That was people waiting to fill up before the prices changed. AAA says overall prices statewide are still lower than in recent weeks. They could go back down from yesterday's big and sudden increase.
Well, officers from Letcher County are looking for a robber who used a rather odd weapon to threaten a convenience store clerk. A state trooper says the man threatened the employee at the Ermine Double Quick Convenient Mart with a club. Police say he then stole about $250. Troopers released surveillance video of the robber, hoping to find him and his.
It may take us tonight, it may take us next week, but somebody knows, somebody's going to say something.
Police say the man's about 5'10", 180 to 200 pounds, and was last seen wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt under a black jacket, blue jeans, and brown work boots. Also, a yellow cloth covered his face.
A record number of Kentucky voters have registered for next month's general election. The Secretary of State's office says more than 3.1 million people are now registered to vote. That beats the previous election record that was just set back in May. State leaders say nearly 42,000 people, new voters, have registered since then. They also say around 53% of Kentucky voters are registered as Democrats, 39% are Republicans, and 8% identify as other.
Later today, a stretch of highway in Woodford County will be dedicated to Kentucky law enforcement members who died in the line of duty.
It'll be a section of Kentucky 2113, also known as Falling Springs Boulevard. Family members of fallen officers and a state representative will unveil a sign designating the stretch as the Police Memorial Highway. They'll be honoring 3 officers in particular: Town Marshal George Freeman, who was shot while making an arrest, Officer Jason Kamek, who was killed in a wreck, and Trooper Clinton Cunningham, who was ambushed while investigating a burglary.
Well, there are some signs of change in downtown Lexington. New signs have been installed around the square, formerly known as Victorian Square. Of course, some new restaurants and stores are moving into the square. Urban Outfitters opened last week, but the store is having a grand opening celebration today. Alumni Hall opened in the square as well.
All right, big changes and more to come. And if you're headed out to Keeneland tomorrow, make sure you wear your Kentucky blue. Tomorrow is Sea Blue Day in honor of UK's homecoming weekend this Saturday and Sunday. UK students, alumni, and faculty get free general admission to the track if you bring your UK ID. And Lexstrand will provide a shuttle between UK and Keeneland for just $1. The gates open at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Post time for the first race is 1:05, and the weather looks really good.